Hey guys, it's Mark. Rick and I did our final show, and I know a lot of you saw it. Most of you did, and that was a couple of days before he had gone into the hospital. I haven't really felt like posting it, but he and I had started recording them and wanting to start. We were going to start putting them on YouTube, and I just thought maybe some of you might want to see that. If it hurts too much to watch it, I understand. But if you guys want to watch it, it's there for you. I hope you enjoy it. Still miss him, and I know you guys do too. I hear every day from a lot of you. So anyway, here it is. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought I was the technical genius there.
Rick, less
Yes.
than 2 minutes ago, you had a look of confusion on your face that matched mine. So I don't think either one of us qualify as technical geniuses. Okay?
I believe you're right.
I think my lovely wife Yuko, who's off on the side here, has been instrumental here. She's piecing me.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we may not get to wave at everybody tonight because we got too much going on. Y'all just have to know we're glad you're with us.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I got an echo on my end. I don't know.
How bad is it?
Pretty bad.
Maybe you can do the earphone one.
Okay, I'll try
Put
that.
your headphones on, see if that helps.
Yeah, let me try. Oh my gosh, everybody, it's going to be so exciting.
Y'all just bear with us, folks. I'll be waving while we're doing this. Maybe I can wave.
Did that help, Rick?
Y'all gonna have me overloading here. There's a lot of pressure on the fat man.
No, I don't hear anything.
Nothing?
No, I don't hear
I
anything.
think he's
All right, you're gonna have to take your headphone back off, Mark.
Well, I can hear you on Zoom. I just can't hear you on.
I can't hear you, Mark.
Oh, no audio. Okay. No audio. Okay.
As old guy said, testing, check.
All right. How's that? Can
I can hear you now.
All right. Then
We'll just deal with the echo.
sorry, bud.
That's all right.
That's all right. That's Elvis, right?
Okay, yeah,
Okay. See, I know.
that's it.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Everybody can hear? Okay, good. Thank you, guys. As we say in Japan, arigato gozaimasu.
Yeah, we
Right?
don't say that where I live.
No?
No,
Well, your Japanese food isn't particularly.
we say
Japanese.
thank you.
You say thank you. Thank you.
Not thank you, but thank you.
Thank you.
That's
Well,
it.
I'll just have to come down for a couple months and see how it goes.
We'll straighten you out.
So
That's
how was your little procedure?
It was good. I'm feeling pretty good today. It helped. You know, Deborah been wanting me to get that vasectomy. No, I just
Oh, come on. That's
I just had to tell that one, you know.
kind of funny. Has she
I
been
figured
bugging
it
you
would
about
be.
that? Has she really been bugging you about
Yeah,
that?
you know how it is.
No, I don't.
No, folks, I had a nerve block in my back.
And
That's what it was.
was that from carrying too much lumber over the years?
I think it may have been a little bit hard work all these years and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Well, all righty.
All right.
I guess we're
Well,
ready for questions.
thank you, guys. And you know, I know this is on Thursday instead of Wednesday. So I maybe easier to, oh boy, I didn't realize how many people were here already. Maybe easier to get your questions in tonight. That might be the blessing in disguise.
That's right.
So I'm sorry, guys. I just got to go through these real quick here and see what we got. Rick, can you sing a song or entertain us a little bit?
Well, I can tell you a joke.
No, don't.
No joke, okay.
Well, go ahead. Try one.
Well, while you're checking all that out, there was this cattle farmer. He bought a high-priced bull. And he gets that bull, and the bull's not doing his job. He's not performing.
Yeah.
So he calls the vet. Vet comes out there, checks him out, gives him a big bottle of pills. They give him one of these every day till he starts performing. So, buddy, he started performing, broke down the fence, went into the neighbor's pasture, was doing his job. And that farmer said, I don't know what kind of pills they were that he gave him, but they kind of got a peppermint taste. The farmer had to check them out. All right. Folks, we can't wave at y'all tonight. We got a lot going on. We got iPads and computers and mics.
We're exciting tonight. We're high tech. All right.
We'll go a little longer because we're wasting time here.
No, we're doing good. It's only 5:03. All right. First question.
It's just a bad echo.
I am sorry for that. I don't know. I can't turn down my phone because I'm not getting any volume through my phone.
Okay, let me try turning mine down. See if that helps.
I can just hear you through the Zoom right now. So, did that help?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, I'm still echoing. Didn't help me.
Okay. Well, then why don't you just listen to me tonight then?
Why don't I just unplug my mic?
Now
my
I can hear
headphones.
you.
Just hang on.
Yeah, now you're echoing here.
Just hang on.
All right. Can
How's
you
that?
hear me now?
I can.
All right, that's good enough. I just turned the volume down on my computer. Can everybody still hear us?
Somebody give us a thumbs up. Or down.
Everybody give us a thumbs up.
Just
First question. This is from Life FX. I should be immigrating to the U.S. soon. How do you think I should start off with my real estate investing? Rick, I'll let you have that first one.
That's me from Alabama. I ain't ever vested out of Tuscaloosa. I would just say be sure you got your money with you because it's not cheap right now. That'd be the best thing.
Yeah. And
get your financing arranged, or that's always the start. Wherever you're from, you got to have some financing. Well,
I think, and the first thing, hopefully you can invest in the area you're moving to, but you gotta locate an area and, as Rick always points out, know your market, get to know your market. That's actually a good question. Don't just dive into investing to invest, investigate the market, figure out what's going on, talk to some people, get the lowdown on the area first, because there might be streets you want to avoid. There might be a lot of things. So that's the first thing you should do. And then, join us and ask questions as you go along, but don't be in too much of a hurry.
Yeah, I like the conversation you and I had today about people that go on and, they look at Zillow and they see a picture of a house that looks good, and they look at comps in the, in that town, whatever, but they don't realize the area. Sometimes, you can have a nice house being kept up, make being a war zone.
Yeah, that's right.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think, we did talk about that this morning, didn't we?
We did.
No, that's good advice. All right, this is a good one because it happens to me a lot. Jas, how do you all, she wrote that for you, secure y'all's vacant property before renovation? I do a couple of things. First thing I do is I go in and I change the locks and put a lockbox on so that just my guys can get in. We tend to use the same locks over and over. And then if it's an area we're a little concerned about, we have one of those Simply Safe alarms. We'll set that up in there and it'll go to the person that lives the closest to the house, whether it's one of our workers. It's never me. Somehow I don't have to do it. But that works pretty good. And then if it's a really bad area, we just board over the windows until we're done. I hate doing it, but we do it. So, Rick, do you ever have an issue with that?
Yeah, in 2009, when I was president of our Homebuyers Association here in Tuscaloosa, we bought and donated some cameras to the Tuscaloosa Sheriff's Department. It wasn't many, but we had a big article about it in the paper and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The crooks didn't know how many we bought, so then we had a bunch of signs printed up that said, "This house is under surveillance by the Tuscaloosa Sheriff's Department." Now, that was in 2009. Here it is, 2020. I still use those signs. We'll stick them in even when it's a vacant house, it's, you know, been rented
Yeah.
vacant, we'll stick that sign in there. And if it's in a itch, you know, somewhere we're worried about, and you'd be surprised, just that sign. You know, a lot of people don't have home alarms, but they got a
Yeah.
sign that say they do, you know.
Yeah, I've picked up a few alarm signs over the years from houses I've bought, and I keep them. And I do the same thing. I do plant those signs in front of houses on occasion. So that's a good idea.
You know, you got to remember, locks just keep honest people honest. You're not going to keep a vandal, or especially a thief, you know.
Yeah.
You're not going to keep a thief out.
But they will go to the easy target though. If you've got to sign up, a lot of times they won't want to mess with it.
Somebody says they're hearing an echo. I don't know how long ago that was.
That was a while back. I think we're okay now. At what point do you guys do things like replace carpet, paint, appliances if long-term tenants aren't asking for anything? I don't replace anything unless they ask. Never.
Don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need it. You know, unless something goes bad, like a stove or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but they have to let me know. So.
And like I said, we always take pictures before they move in and when they move out. No matter how, you know, we used to do that when we used to have to, you know, go and have the film developed. Now with cameras, you know, on your phone, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
But I recommend to everybody do that, because I've had to go to court a couple of times with tenants, and there's nothing, you know, like having pictures, saying it's better than 1,000 words. And, you
Right.
know, and when you go to send them their return of their, you know, in Alabama, you have 60 days to return their security deposit or a list of what all they was taught, whatever. Well, if they want to say, well, that was like that when I moved in, you say, well, let's see, I got pictures right here showing it wasn't. So always take those pictures before they move in and the day they move out.
And if you do it in front of them, that's just an extra added bonus, because then they know that you know. So, you know, always do those pictures in front of them if you can. Yeah, that's good stuff. After I buy, this is from Stephen Smith. After I buy 3 or 4 houses, will the bank still lend me money? Yes.
It all depends on your cash flow. They look at what they call globally. They'll look at everything you have, your own personal stuff. If you have other companies, and, you know, more money you borrow, you got to show more income, and you got to show the cash flow, not just on your property. They have to see that you're a stable risk, you know, and
Right.
They call it global. They look at you globally.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's a tightrope walk for a lot of us, like me especially. I think Rick's got so many properties now. He's got a little over twice as many as me. And, you know, when you're, you know, till you get to a certain point, you tend to try to stretch out your write-offs as much as you can. And I know he does too, but you get to the point where you really can't. And so it's a tightrope walk when you're trying to qualify. You're trying to show as little profit as possible for tax reasons, but you have to show enough profit where the bank's going to loan you money. So, you know, always think about these things as you're doing and you're expensing out your houses. If you know you're going to be refinancing or you're going to be getting more properties, you got to think about that. Go to your tax preparer, go to your CPA, you know, find out where you need to be. Go to your loan officer or your bank, and, you know, if you've got a relationship, go there and ask them up front. Say, hey, I'm going to be doing this. What do you want to see? And they'll tell you, because they want to do the loan. Right?
Also, another thing, I've got a video that I did this on, that I talked about it. When you go to the bank, and if the bank turns you down, don't be afraid to ask them, well, why? You know, is it not a good deal? Is what's the problem? Because what happens, banks are regulated, as we all know. Well, sometimes this particular bank may be too heavily involved in rental property and not enough over here, and for their cash reserves and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they come in and audit them, they say, look, you got to get some of these off the book. So it's got nothing to do with you or your loan or your property. So ask them that, because, you know, they'll just tell you we can't do it. Well, you need to know, is there a problem? What's the deal? Because then when you go to the next bank, they may be light in that department. They can make those loans. So
that's a great.
I've got 5 banks I like to deal with. One tells me no, or they're too heavy. Like I got one right now, they'll tell you they're too heavily in apartments and rentals. They're not loaning, so it's a good thing I got the others.
That's great advice. It's funny, as long as I've been doing this, you had told me that before and I remember it, but before you told me that, I sure as heck didn't know. So
Don't be afraid to ask them. Just do it in a nice way. Don't say, "What the hell? You ain't give me,"
Yeah, exactly. Don't burn no bridges. All right. What resources other than Zillow should I use to check out potential properties? I got a laundry list of that.
That's good. I don't have one.
You can go to the county tax assessor. You can go to a real estate agent in the area and just ask to check out, if you find a property, to find out what they think it's worth. Realtor.com, Redfin. There's so many places you can go. If you've got a property that you've located and you want to check out everything about it, True People search, you can look up the address on there and see who owns it. Maybe you get a phone number. There's so much information out there. And Rick, I'm telling you, I use all that now, but 11 years ago when I started, none of that stuff, if it was there, I couldn't find it.
But I'd never been on Zillow till about 6 months ago. I said, I need to go in here and check this out.
Yeah. Well, now that was,
I have the courthouse records and all that at my
Yeah.
office. I don't buy outside of my county. So,
well, now I knew about Zillow and Redfin and we used it, but it wasn't like it is now. It wasn't quite as robust. And there's a lot
heard
more
of it, but I just never used it because I had no need for it. And I've
Well-
only been once or twice now,
Well, now that you're using the interweb and your fingers are limbered up, you can do it, right?
That's it. That's it.
What do we figure? We've got 125 years between the two of us of technological know-how. Is that about right?
And you're about 112, I think, maybe.
I think we got a lot more than that. I'm 57 and you're 65. Your math is usually pretty good.
Well, I'm still a little tired. I only had three and a half hours of sleep. That stuff wired me yesterday, boy.
You see these eyes? That's all I ever get.
I couldn't go to sleep, man. They done pumped me up with that stuff.
I know.
Anyway, whatever it is, we got a bunch of them.
All right. I'm 19 and currently in college and I want to move out soon, but I don't want to rent. Any tips? If you've got money, house hack, buy a house and rent out rooms. That's our best tip for young people is, save, buy a house and put a cot in the garage and rent out the rooms. That's what I tell my boys to do. And it's a great way to get started. Trust me, it's a great way to get started. If your parents will help you out, that's even better. Mark C is asking, how do I get past the max mortgages taken out? How many properties can you get a portfolio on?
I don't know where they come. I'm going to talk with my banker. I keep hearing people say 10 mortgages is all you can get. And that's a crock. I like I've said before, and this wasn't any kind of special loan. I rolled my properties over from one bank to another.
Yeah.
Part of them, that is. And at the time, it was 56 houses in one loan.
Mm-hmm.
It was for 15 years. Amortized at 15 years. When I did it, it was only 36% loan to value. And all those loans are in one, all those houses are in one loan. And I don't know where, and then my son and I, we have one that started out with 8 in them. And this was with the same bank. So we got, we had 56 with that same bank, one company, 8 at the same company, and then we got other things there. It's, unless it's some kind of rule that has to do with FHA or something, I don't know. I'm gonna find out. Try to find out for next week.
I keep hearing that same thing, but I've never heard any validity to it. But
it has to be somebody started. That's what happens.
Yeah.
People get.
Yeah.
I did a video, I think, on this the other day, talking about how somebody will say something, and then somebody else picks up on it and picks up. Then next thing you know, nobody knows. It's kind of like, I don't know if your mama used to make biscuits, but you ever notice they were always the same size? Did you ever ask your mom, say, Mama, why you make your biscuits that size? She said, with this little cup I cut them with, that's the size it is. It's just, That's how they do it. And they hear people say it, and they say it, and they say it. And it's said enough, people start thinking that's how it is. You need to check these things out yourself.
Now, how'd you know my mom used a cup to make biscuits, Rick? That's spooky.
You told me she had some southern roots to her.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hierarchy. Yeah, that's yeah, that was high on the list. All right. R. Weisberg is asking you specifically, Rick, not really, but should I let repairs discourage me for a fourplex that I'm looking at in Santa Cruz County? Well, Santa Cruz is in my area. I need more information on that. I mean, if it's a good deal and it's a good deal after the repairs, then no. If you're getting a better deal because of that, absolutely. I look for high repairs on properties because that gives me more leverage.
Cosmetic, not necessarily a lot of structure, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if the house is falling down and the foundation is failing and there's no plumbing, but no, I think the best deals we ever get look terrible, and you know.
Well, I don't know if they teach this much now, but when I was learning, that was part of what you did when you're out. I started to say dialing for dollars. That's what I call it when I'm trying to collect money. When people owe me. But when you're out driving for dollars, you go through neighborhoods, you look for meters off the house, you look for grass growing up real high.
Mm-hmm.
You can usually ride through a neighborhood and even spot the rental houses because people just they have a tendency not to keep them up. When you buy a rental property, you want to be the person they say, that's a rental house over there, because you want to be among a lot of homeowners that have pride of ownership.
Right.
Be happy if your tenants don't, but that's what you want because that's where people want to be.
For sure.
But when you're driving and looking, there's signs, you can just look at property and tell if it's in despair or whatever. Even you see people moving in and out of a house a lot of times. I have bought property. I bought 7 houses one time from one guy that lived out of state. I didn't realize he owned 7 until I looked it all up, and he ended up selling me all 7 of them. But I'd noticed his house was near one of my houses, and they were constantly people, moving in and out, and it wasn't being managed right.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew he might be a, don't want her. So I got with him, and sure enough, and bought 7 houses from him just because he had a bad management company. Because, if you're out of state and you've got a management company, you're at their mercy.
Right.
And if they're not doing you a good job, you're not going to be a happy camper. You'll be ready to get rid of it.
That's right.
Opportunity.
Yep. Exactly. Someone's K Van Slicks is asking, where should I buy a house for $20,000 to build some equity? You got to be careful on those $20,000 houses unless you're Rick Jarman, because and I don't mean that lightly. I'm not really joking when I say that. Rick can get away with that because he knows his area like the back of his hand, and he knows values. He knows what the house is going to be worth when it's done, and you should too. But $20,000 houses I tend to, yeah, they're hard to come by, and if you do come by them, usually they're priced that way for a reason. So be careful with that. What happens with those really low-priced houses? I remember back, I don't know, gosh, it's 7-8 years ago. Everybody was buying property in Detroit, and they were, buying houses for $15,000, $20,000. They were buying them for $5,000, putting in $15,000, and renting them out for $700 or $800. And everybody thought they were going to make a killing. But what happened is the people were such bad tenants in that area, they'd destroy the house. And every time they moved out, you'd have to put another $15,000 into it. So that sort of sucked the joy out of it. So you got to be careful with that. You just got to be careful. You don't want to be in the worst area, because you'll find tenants are going to be harder on the house. I
can tell you another little story like that.
Sure.
If any of you watch HGTV, the show Hometown is filmed in Laurel, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
We took a couple trips over there because it's only about about 2 hours, 2.5 from the house here. And one of my followers here on Instagram kind of got to know, and he lives over there and has a good bit of property. He says, "Look, this is our second trip." He said, "We didn't know him the first time we went over there." Mm-hmm. The second trip, he said, "When y'all ever come back over here, so I'll give you a tour." His kids went to church with the Ben and Aaron, that has the show and everything. So he gave us a guided tour of everything. He said, and you just already seen all the different state tags in there. And he said, there's people coming from all over the country buying property here, trying to do, like they see them doing on the show.
Right.
He said, some of them in areas, they won't never be able to rent them after putting the money in. And just what you're talking about,
Yeah.
you know, you got to know your locations, you got to know your markets.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I always say the two most important things in this business is learning your market and financing. Those two things go hand in hand. And I believe they're a couple of the most important things they are in this business.
I totally agree. I mean, my top two are, you know, you got to find money and it's got a cash flow. And those are, our values are pretty aligned there, I think. Okay, this is a question. Okay, the Watty way. So, at what time does capital appreciation trump excess cash flow? I have never had excess cash flow, so I'm not. Do you understand what that question means?
I didn't, but you started back echoing. Something's going on there.
Oh, you okay now or?
No, but I can get to it.
Okay. Well, we only got 35 minutes to go.
You gotta get more questions answered that way.
I know we gotta speed up a little bit. The question is, at what time does capital appreciation trump excess cash flow? I mean, in other words, I guess he's asking, what is appreciation more important than cash flow? I'm not sure. I apologize.
You know, if you're going to sell them, it is, but I like cash cows. You know, would you rather have a house that makes you $50 positive, but it's going to appreciate more in 10 years? Or would you rather have a house that maybe won't appreciate as much, but it's bringing in $300 or $400 a month?
Right.
And you do the math how much that is over a 10-year period. You know, it's about money left over to put in your pocket or reinvest at the end of the month. Not just, you know, if you're not selling, you know, if you go to sell, that's one thing. Sure, it's great if it's appreciated a lot, but I like good cash cows because I don't plan to sell and have to throw off money from now on.
So when I started investing, I always invested for both, and I swore by it, and I still do, because I made a lot of money through appreciation. But the funny thing is, I woke up the other morning, Rick, and guess what?
What?
I was 57 years old. And, you know, I've got decent cash flow, but for the amount of property that I own, because my property is so expensive, even though my debt position is around 60%, between 50 and 60% on all my properties, I still barely cash flow. I mean, I cash flow enough to live on, and that's sad. You know, I could take that same money and I could go in Rick's, I could take, you know, $7 or $8 million and go to Rick's hometown, and I'd be making 30 grand, 40 grand a month, probably 30 grand a month at least, and easy. So as you get older, so, you know, here's one of the things they also say. So you can take it however you want. You know, when they say, do you want to do, like, if you're investing in your retirement account, they say, do you want to do it aggressively, or do you want to do it for the long term? You know, and you know, as the older you get, they want you to be more careful, and the younger you are, they want you to be more aggressive. So it's kind of the same way, I guess. But now I'm getting to the point where I just want cash flow. So you have to decide what you want to do. Gambling is more like appreciation, and cash flow is more like investing in your 401k on a monthly basis, if that makes any sense. So,
I've always liked cash flow.
Yeah, I know. Well, you are smarter than me, though. I mean, keep in mind, you've been doing this longer.
I like that cash flow.
I know. Raising the rents to market value after closing. How do you entice the tenants to stay if you like them to stay? Okay, they're asking, so say you bought a house and the rents are low and you want to raise the rents up to market value, which don't try that in California, but you want to raise those rents back up. How do you do that and still keep the people there, Rick?
Well, usually when I buy a house that already has a tenant in, and here recently I did some of those just like within the last 6-8 months.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you're going to lose the tenant, because most of the time you bought this piece, if you bought it as a deal, You had a bad landlord.
Yeah.
They wouldn't take care of the property. They wasn't raising the rent. A lot of times they don't even have an active lease.
Mm-hmm.
We'll touch on the lease in just a second. But you buy it and you know it's way undervalued. Even if you just try to, and usually it's $200, $300, maybe $400 undervalued. So if you just raise it half the way, they get upset because, you know, well, this needs fixed, that needs. The best thing to do is to buy it, tell them you're going to raise the rent to where it needs to be. They leave, find somewhere else to go. In a normal economy now, you know, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so let's take that out of the picture.
Right.
They leave and go somewhere else. You go in, fix your house up, and you get the top dollar. That's usually where it's going to play out. But now a lot of people think when you buy a piece of property, you can just raise the rent. Now, if you're buying a piece of property and there's a lease, it's an active lease, you have to honor that lease. I think that's probably pretty much all 50 states in the United States. You have to honor that lease till it runs out. Now, then you can do what you need to do.
All right.
My answer on that one.
I'm gonna take that one because we got to move along. I think we aren't gonna make it through all these tonight, which is good. I love it. I love it. In terms of landscape, do you personally keep up with your tenants' landscape, or do you leave that responsibility to the tenants since they're the ones occupying the house? Look, if it's a single family house, I don't touch it. It's their responsibility. It's in their lease that they're responsible to upkeep it. And if it's not looking good when they move out, they get charged for it. Obviously on our apartments, we have someone come in and take care of that. So.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't, you know, my lease even says they have to keep the hedges cut, the grass cut. And if I had to come in and do it, or if I'm, you know, they're not doing it and I get a letter from the city, we do it and bill them. I mean, it's, when they're renting that house, they have all the rights of a homeowner, except they don't own it. I mean, in Alabama, if it's not emergency, we have to give them 74 hours notice before we come in or whatever it is. And then if it's emergency, you know, we have to get it within so many hours and stuff. But, you know, you have to, they have rights, you know, but I would suggest wherever you live, you can go online and you can pull up the landlord tenant laws for your state and study them. We try to stay on top of that. Of course, Alabama has a strong homeowners, home builders association that we have some good lobbying. So we're pretty landlord friendly to a certain extent compared to a lot of states. But like I said, we've all spent time and money getting it there over the years.
Right.
So, but learn your landlord tenant laws.
Question is, would you ever buy a fire damaged house? Yes, and I've done it, and I've done fine with it, and you will too, as long as you make sure you get a contractor in there that knows what he's doing. That's the bottom line. That's an easy one.
I bought a couple tornado damage houses out there, tornado in 2011. Bought one for $7,000, put 30 in it. It rents for $850 a month, so you do the math.
I did the math. You did the math earlier when you added up our ages, Rick.
What now? You echoing again?
I said you did the math earlier when you added up our ages.
You echoing so bad I can't understand you.
Oh man! All right.
Sorry. Now you're not. Now you're not. You're good now.
Okay. All right. Let's do this. Bruno O just closed on his first duplex today. That's awesome.
Good deal.
That's awesome. You're welcome, Bruno. Thank you for being here, man. Do you spread out that's a good question. This is reverting back to your loans, Rick. I use mostly private money for my stuff, but question is, do you try to spread out the business between all the banks, or do you have a favorite? Or
I have a favorite. I like the one that loan me the most at the best rate. It's kind of like, it's like girlfriends. It's who you like that, you know, when you're single, I'm talking about. It's whoever you like in that month or that week, you know. A prettier one come along, you know, you just play in the field. Same way with banks. They're selling that money. You know, they're not loaning it to you, they're selling it to you, and you're paying them a price. And so you go for the best deal. Who wants to loan the worst? And that changes. It's sometimes, it's just like I said, like hunting girlfriends. There may be a lot of boys out there at the time, and you got bored to compete with. And that's And then sometimes the banks, you know, they need to make loans and they don't have many people wanting to borrow.
Yeah.
It's all, you know, supply and demand, what's going on. No different with banks. And girlfriends, I guess, if you're single.
Well, Yuko doesn't mind.
But I don't know. I've been married almost 48 years. I just have to remember about girlfriends.
Do you remember
Long
back
time
that?
ago.
Do you remember back that far?
Some days.
Okay, yeah. Some days are better than others, right?
That's it.
How do you feel about first-time home buyers programs? I think it's called an HMO. Okay, so there's a lot of these programs out there that cities run and states run, and there's government programs. So here's my take on that. As an investor, if you're going to stay there for a couple of years, some of them have time frames on them that you have to stay there and own it for a certain amount of time, or you know you'll have to pay something. You just need to read the small print. If it works, do it, because a lot of times those programs are really good, but you need to make sure that you read it so that you know if you can actually sell that house. Like say you want to buy it and sell it in 2 years, maybe they want you to hold on to it for 7. The one thing they don't want with those programs, they don't want investors using them.
Hold your hand still. You're doing something when you're doing all that, and that's what's making it echo.
I talk with my hands, Rick.
And you echo when you do.
Okay, my hands are, I'm sitting on my hands now. How's that?
You're doing good now.
I can't do this.
I was hearing it. Was it just me?
I'm way at the top. So,
Okay.
So that's my take on that, guys.
Folks, we promise you next week we're going to have this damn boy. It'll be slick next week. I'm talking slick.
Okay. This is from Bass Pro 454. Is it safe to take my first rental house equity and get a second rental house with that money? Rick?
You know, that's the kind of question only you can answer. You know your financial situation, how much equity, your market, where you're at.
Yeah.
You know, what you got to learn, and don't take this wrong, you got to learn to make these decisions. You got to look at everything. You know, it would be like going to a stock person and ask them what stocks they need, and they hadn't seen your stock portfolio. I don't know nothing about your market or where you're at or your financial situations. But if you want to grow, you got to do it. But you need to be sure you're ready to make that step. You know, we definitely don't want to say, yeah, go do it. And then it doesn't turn out good for you.
Well, just remember
what the dog in that race, see.
And that dog might not hunt.
That's it.
See?
You learning.
Yeah.
But if you look everything over and you feel good about it, that's how you do it.
Yeah, and
go from one to the next.
Just remember the rule of thumb. It's got a cash flow. So both of them have to cash flow. If you're going to borrow money from one, they both still have to cash flow. You don't fudge them. Oh, sorry.
Sit on them hands.
I'm sitting on them. It's not comfortable, I'll tell you that right now, but never mind. I was going to say something bad, but I won't.
Right.
Just make sure that it cash flows. Make sure it makes sense. That's the big thing.
That's it. I don't know if y'all get anything out of this tonight, folks, but I'm having a hell of a time. I just tell you, I'm having a good time.
Are you having a good time tonight?
I'm having a good time.
Since I started sitting on my hands a second ago, I'm pretty much having a good time too.
Well, let me tell you my quick story now, y'all. I went yesterday and had that nerve block on my back, lower back that is. And this might be a little more information y'all want to hear, but I got
probably
I got a pair of black and blue checkered boxers that kind of looks like a racing flag. I told that doctor, I said, I got my racing shorts on here for you, doctor. Let's make this thing quick. He said, well, I hope there ain't no skid marks. That's honest God truth. You know you got a good doctor when you lay in there and he fixes to stick them needles all in you. Hey, you need to have a good time everywhere you go, folks. And that's the secret to life right there.
I don't, that's too much information, Rick. That was too much information.
I'm pretty open about everything, you know.
So I'm going to try not to wave my arms around too much, but let's pretend this is the line right here. This is the line.
Yeah.
You went over it.
I've been known to do that. Of course,
yes,
I'll tell you how long you know me. I'll tell you, I'll push that envelope.
You do. And you're ornery. Oh, I know how ornery you are. Jas is asking, have you all ever been able to get home insurance to cover pre-existing roof damage? I don't know if a home warranty would do that or not, but that's
I don't get home warranties on my rentals. If they're talking
No.
about a rental, most of the time, my insurance agent, I'll call him and tell him what I've got, what I'm wanting, and he'll write it up. And then sometimes when you got a big portfolio like this, a lot of times they don't even, if the company he's underwriting for goes out and check, they may say something, but I'm not going to call it in for roof's just terrible. But
yeah,
you can have a marginal roof, and yeah, they usually write it, because this stuff about, well, I believe you got 3 more years of life left, they don't know. It's all, roof last depends on the pitch of the roof. The steeper the pitch, the longer the shingles will last. It's just an educated guess.
Well, and a lot of times what happens is those shingles get old, they get brittle, and you get a little wind and they start, one breaks off and then they all start going, and they may cover that. You never know. They may cover that because of wind damage. So you don't know, but you could try.
I mean, if you get like that, you're going to be in trouble. But if it's just granules coming off and the shingles aren't curved, turning up,
Yeah.
So that's another thing. When you're looking at a piece of property and it has gutters, go and look where the gutters are and see if you see a lot of the granules laying on the ground, coming out of the gutter. Reach down there on the gutter, because when those granules start coming out off, the roof is wearing out. So
yeah,
if it looks good from the ground.
See, I like to think that I'm very careful with my money. The granules have been coming off of my roof now, Rick, for 17 years. 17 years. Yes.
You need a roof.
And I need it. We get 6 inches of rain a year here. I think I'm good.
But if you went to sell it, somebody'd want a roof probably.
Well, I might put a roof on it for him.
That's what I mean. Mine's the same way. Mine was on here when I came here, and every time we have a storm, I have them come out and look, see if I can get a roof, but I haven't been able to get it yet. But, I keep trying because, I write out, close to $100,000 worth of insurance on my property, so I want a little something out of it before it's over with.
Yeah, me too. Trust me. All right. Kay Dawkins, I'll come back to that if we have time. It's well, let's can you do a really quick answer on lead-based paint, Rick? I don't deal with it much, but the question is, how do you deal with lead-based paint on the property?
Okay, if you're dealing with Section 8, I don't know if you are, but any house built prior to 1978, you're required by law to give them a lead-based paint pamphlet. You're required to tell them if you know anything about the house having lead-based paint. And you don't have to know, you check, you don't know. And then if they require a study, that's a different thing. But now when it comes to rental property, and if you're dealing with the government like Section 8, the federal law is anytime there's a child under 6 years old, you have to do a study if the house was built prior to 1978. And that usually runs here where I live on 1,200 square foot house. It runs about $400, $450.
Let me interrupt real quick and ask a quick question. Now, do you have to do that every time a child moves in?
No, when you run that test, it's good for the life of the house. No way.
Okay.
Now, we are certified. I say we, our company, my son, when I didn't do it, I'm through that kind of stuff. We can't do abatement for other people.
Mm-hmm.
But we are certified to repair like our stuff. If there's a certain process you have to go through, how you cover up and all you do, so we can contain it,
Mm-hmm.
But now, if there's a child under 6 years old and they find it, you probably better off just not trying to fool with it because it can get expensive if they want you to abate it,
Yeah. Yep.
But if it's contained, it used to not be as bad, but they keep tightening up, on everything. And contained means, not peeling and everything. And anyway, that's why you want to keep your houses painted and up.
Yep. Jared Michael Morris is asking, do you guys create a separate bank account for each property, and how do you manage that? No, we don't do that. I have several bank accounts, but not for each property, for separate companies. We just use both of us just use QuickBooks, and each property has its own whatever.
Each company has its own checking account,
Yeah.
bank, or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
One more thing about the lead-based paint thing, you know, if y'all watch the HGTV fixer-up shows and whatever, well, one of the shows, I ain't gonna say who they were, I almost said it. It would come out, they got fined almost $200,000 because they went back on several of the houses that were in the TV show and didn't have records showing they had checked them and whatever. And then there was another one that's out there. Now, there's been 2 or 3 of them hit with that, you know. So I'd be real careful when I'm showing this stuff. If you're flipping a house and you're showing everything on Instagram here, it's also a good way for somebody to come back and try to get you and find out if you did it right, if you had a test ring.
This is a good question. Guys, this is tough. Okay, let me preface this. It's a question about contractors. And you're always going to have a hard time finding a good contractor. It's just the nature of the beast. And you might find somebody that's like awesome. They're great contractors. And then a year later, they turn into bad contractors. It happens. And it happens a lot. So I'm just prefacing that. Finding contractors. I've got one guy that I've been using for 11 years, trying to keep my hand still, Rick. How about armpits? Is that better? Is that good? I've been using one guy for about almost 11 years now, and he's awesome, Emmanuel. But I have to bring other people in sometimes because he's busy. He's working on another project for me or maybe something else. So we all go through it, except for, even Rick probably has the occasional guy that screws up. It's just the nature of the beast. But the question is.
It's hard finding subs, even though I'm a contractor.
Yes, for me too. Yeah, me too. But the question, Rick, is from Real Jackson. Please, how do you find a good contractor, one that's willing to fill out a W-9 so that I can 1099 them at the end of the year?
I got a good video on that. Go and watch it. It's called Can I Get Paid Friday? That's what the video is. Go and look at my GTVs. I talk about it. Bottom line is I get so tired of hearing people say my contractor screwed me when most of the time they screwed themselves. You're hiring somebody that's not licensed. You're looking, not you, a lot of people I'm talking about. They're looking for the best price. They don't care if they got workman's comp and general liability. They don't check their license. You get them, not him or her or whoever, provide you with copies of their workman's comp, their general liability, their license. Now, anybody that what I call street legal is going to be a little higher than somebody that doesn't have these things and doesn't have, they just working out of old raggedy truck there. But the thing about it, if they're not street legal and they don't have everything they need and you have a problem getting them to the job, coming back and finish it, even if they street legal and they got all these things, if somebody does not come back and do what they're supposed to do, how you think you're going to get anything out? They don't have nothing to get. So you want to check your contractors out, talk to a couple of people that work for, and be sure that, like I said, they're street legal.
Yeah. All right, real quick. I brought Max in. Max is one of our interns and he works on the phones. So we got a question from Osmond Tooks, I think. So he's asking, what do we say when we do a cold call? Rick, I know you do some of that too, but I thought I'd bring Max in because young Max is making crap load of phone calls. Max, you got 60 seconds. What do you say when you call somebody? Ring, ring.
Hey, Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really bad. My wife just divorced me. No, I'm joking. I'll play
Okay, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so go ahead. I'm doing good.
Great. This is Max. I was actually just giving you a call about your house over on Center.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I work with a local investor who's looking for a rental property in Costa Mesa. And I didn't want to bombard you with a whole bunch of postcards. So I just wanted to personally reach out to you and see if it would make sense for us to make an as-is all-cash offer on your home. Are you maybe thinking of selling in the near future?
I might be if the price is right.
Great, Mark. Well, selling for cash is a lot simpler, easier, and faster than selling with a broker. But to be honest, it isn't right for everyone. So I just want to run through a couple questions with you here and see if we'd be a good fit for each other.
Okay, give me 2 questions and we'll cut it off. Go ahead. What are your 2 questions, Max?
Well, pause. So that's kind of like how personally, or how it would kind of go, like picture perfect. But in that interim of the 45 seconds of us just talking there, you kind of want to pull out some, I mean, he just said, oh, I'm doing well, but you kind of want to dig a little deeper and try and build some rapport with the client you're talking to.
If you can.
Yeah, if you can. I mean, we call them talkers. There's people that'll just go on and about how they're gardening all day.
Like yourself right now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
maybe. Oh, thanks, buddy. So
Thank you, man. I just messed with you.
yeah, thanks, bro.
of course.
Max is the
Don't
man.
call us, Max. We'll call you, buddy.
Hey, bring boom. But no, but anyway, yeah, that's kind of how you get it going, and then you start digging deeper and asking questions, and then it goes from there. So we could do a whole evening on that. So that's kind of how you get the ball rolling, guys.
Max really has a good voice for that. I mean,
I know, and he's like 6'45" and good looking too. So and young and has a lot of hair.
I need a haircut.
I really hate him for that. Thanks, buddy.
Of course.
Mark, try moving your from a different location because it gets the echoing again. You maybe move your telephone or your telephone. I'm telling my age, your iPhone around behind your computer or something. See if that helps.
How's that?
That's just right.
Perfect. I'll keep my phone a long ways away.
Folks, we're sorry. We're going to keep doing better, but I'm echoing now. But we're going to get it. Y'all just get through this week. And if you don't like it, just write in. We'll send your money back.
Do we have cash? What do you call it? Yeah, what he said. Will you all rent to someone who does not have a credit history and pays cash for everything?
Depends on how the history were with the previous landlords. If they paid cash to the previous landlords and were a good tenant, I mean, it doesn't matter for me if it's cash or check. I got to turn it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have and I would, but those are very hard to come by. Usually, it all depends. I did a video or something about this yesterday, I think, or a short one. I'm going to do a longer one about, qualifying tenants and whatever, something I hope to do this week. But, one of the most important things, and I talked about it, I think is in a reel, it doesn't matter what the credit, the credit report is just a small picture of the situation. Most landlords don't report to the credit bureau. Now, if you have to go at them for their money, like if they damage your house, you go for after damages, or you have to evict them, that's going to show up because of the court. You go to court and it's going to show up on their public records. But if they're just not a good tenant and whatever, that's not going to show up. So that's why you want to talk to the current landlord, and he could be wanting to get rid of them, or she. And then you want to talk to the previous one. And if you can get another one, that's even better.
Yeah.
And you're getting a better picture of what's going on with that tenant.
Yeah. Yep. Good advice. John, all right. I'm giving in.
That time.
Yeah, I know. Josh Raymond. Sorry, man. I apologize. Mentally, how do you deal with millions of dollars in debt, even if your LTV is 75%? I don't think our loan to value is that high. I might have a couple of properties that are like that. Sometimes they come into the fold, so to speak, and the LTV is pretty high, but I have enough properties that offset that. But it all goes back to cash flow and did you get a good deal on a property to begin with, and does it cash flow? That's the bottom line.
And you need to remember this: no matter, even if your loan to value, of course, if you start out with a low loan to value, like I was talking about, I did when I moved from one bank to another, it was like 36% loan to value. But let's say you bought several houses and they were 80% loan to value, and you paid on them for several years and they're paid way down, your payment's still the same. That doesn't
Right.
change.
Right.
So you got to have a good positive cash flow all the way through.
But yeah, but he's asking mentally, how do you deal with
Oh,
it?
mentally?
Yeah.
You just say, yes, yeah, I think I did a video about that. You know, if you can't stand having a lot of debt and you worry about it, this ain't the business for you.
Yeah.
If you really grow, I mean, you just gotta not think of it. You just gotta have debt to the service itself and try to do all the right things, keep educating yourself, keep learning financing. And there's times you may need to move it from one bank to another to get the banks competing against each other. But you just got to deal with it mentally. It's just, I mean, when I first went in business buying rental property, I hadn't even went in business for myself. I was still working at the University of Alabama in maintenance, making $8 and something an hour. And if you put that in today's market, that's probably $25 an hour, 30 maybe. But the guys would ask me that I work with, so what you gonna do if they were all get empty one month? Well, you know, folks, I've been dealing with rental property since 1981, and I've never had a time, you know, that they all got empty at once. I mean,
Right.
you ride around where you live, how many vacant rental houses do you see? Now, if you keep your property up and you do what you're supposed to do, you're gonna keep them rented. Now,
And the more you got, the safer you are.
exactly.
Yeah, I've you know, it's funny. That was a good question, because I never really think about how much I owe. I mean, it crosses my mind on occasion, but not like, it's
You know,
like, oh, wow.
Every month when I write the payments,
Yeah.
I take I call it the ticket from the bank.
Yeah.
I have my office manager, she highlights the payment, the day, you know, where I just glance at things and always, if it doesn't show the balance on the particular ticket, we have it. I like to see the balances. I like seeing them going down.
Yeah.
These things get down in the teens or paid off, it gets feeling good.
It does. All right. Here we go. Here's a good one for you, Rick. Rick is much more of a landlord than I am. I am a landlord sometimes. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I have property managers. So you're getting two perspectives when you get us. What are your favorite clauses to use on leases to protect you from damage done by tenants? In other words, like sewer and yard up maintenance, things like that.
Well, the way we do it, anything that's not normal wear and tear, we're going to bill them back. Now, if somebody breaks into their house, you know, everybody's going to tell you, they don't tell you, my boyfriend got mad at me and kicked the door in. You know, what we do, if they have something like a break-in, we say, get us a copy of the police report. We make them do that. Now, if they do that, we don't charge them for it, because that's not, you know, that's just kind of like an act of God. They ain't really act of God, act of a crook or something. But you know what I mean? Yeah. You can't hold them responsible. I don't anyway.
No, we don't.
In their house or whatever. But, you know, if they say, oh, the guy cutting the grass threw a rock up and broke the window, and you see your maintenance man out there and the glass is on the outside, not the inside, you know that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, tenants will sometimes not tell you the truth. So
on occasion.
That's right. But you just, I got a video out. Sometimes you have to play detective. That's when you qualify them. It has to do with a lot of things. You just, you know, it's no, you're not going to cover all of it. They, you know, but a good tenant normally just uses the house just like you would. They cut the lights on and off. They cut the sinks on and off. They flush the toilets. They just using the house, normal wear and tear.
Yeah.
So in most of your tenants, I'd say 95% are good tenants. It's that 5% that you got to work on getting rid of.
I totally agree. One last quick question, and then I'm going to do an outro, Rick, and it's time to go home and see Mrs. McMahon, our technological genius, for a dinner. And by the way, Matt Mill, excellent advice, by the way. Matt Mill 532 says, find a local lawyer to write a good lease for you, then edit and use it for each lease. Absolutely great advice. I
got
strongly
videos
agree.
about that. I
I
talk
know
about
you do.
don't let
I know you do.
don't let a divorce attorney draw up your real estate lease no more. You'd let a real
Yep.
estate attorney handle your divorce. You know, you get you a good real estate, and you get them to cover everything they can that'll cover your butt.
Yep.
And you know, and we do that. I do, and update it. You know, I like mine. I like my lawyer to look mine over about every year or two.
Yeah.
We just recently added about bed bugs. I've only had that run into that twice, but in all my years, I never even had that problem, and that's expensive.
Yeah, we get it. We get it in Hawaii on our vacation rentals.
Yeah, we had
terrible.
one, and the people lived in the house. It cost $1,500.
Yeah.
And I had pest control that they're responsible for it, but it didn't spell out bed bugs. And now it spells, even though that's, you know, what could happen is what our attorney told us is it says somebody has bed bugs and the kids get, you know, bit, and even though they brought them there, they wasn't there in the house, and they have psychological problems from it. What are they going to try to sue you? That's just. But what we do now, every time we get a house empty, we have an arrangement where I pest people. We pay them $50. They go in, they check the house for bed bugs.
Mm-hmm.
So we know they don't have it when they go in.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, out of all of these years of doing, I've only ran into this twice, and it's been
Right.
within like 12 months. So we're just trying to prepare for the future. You just got to keep learning and adding and doing. And, you know, if you got battery operated smoke detectors you have in your lease, they're responsible to check the battery. Because I mean, I've had to take the battery out of the thermostat for the heating and cooling unit, put it in a kid's toilet. The kid takes it out, and then they call. They don't know the heating and cooling's not working. You get there and there's no battery in the thermostat. You just get amazed what tenants will do sometimes.
I wouldn't be. I'm not amazed anymore, Rick.
Mm-mm.
All right, quick outro here, guys. As always, the time flies when we're here. We really enjoy this, and we truly appreciate every single one of you being here every night. That's so much fun for us. We plan this. We talk about it beforehand. Rick always calls me the morning of, and we talk about it. And anyway, we hope you enjoy it. We hope you got something out of it. We did. Please, if you're not following us on YouTube, both of us are on YouTube. I'm at Mark McMahon Real Estate. Rick is at, what is it again, Rick? A Real Estate New School?
Real estate old school.
Old school, that's it. And please follow both of us on there and like what we're putting on there. We are going to be posting this on there in the next, yeah. There.
Folks, y'all, we appreciate y'all bearing with us. This one may not get uploaded to YouTube. Maybe next week.
No, by God, we're putting this one up, Rick. It's going up. But anyway, thank you for in advance for going to YouTube and following both of us. We really appreciate that. It means a lot to us. If you are not following Rick and you are following me, we are one and the same person. He's much more handsome, debonair, and smarter, but I try to keep up. But if you're not following Rick, please go to Rick's channel and follow him. If you are not following me, I'd appreciate the same. It means a lot to me. A lot of Rick's guys and gals come over and follow me, and I appreciate that. We both have about the same perspective on real estate. If you've not downloaded my list, go to my link tree and download my list on how to get started investing in real estate. That is helpful to get started. Rick, do you have anything to add this fine evening?
Just like you said, go and follow us on YouTube, and we just thank y'all for supporting and coming, listening every Wednesday, and your questions. You know, we could sit and talk, but it wouldn't be near as much fun without your questions. So
yeah, it does. And you know, a lot of times I hear things that make me think, oh God, you know, I haven't checked into that for a while. We get insurance questions and things every once in a while, and I guarantee I've called my insurance agent at least once after one of these shows.
Well, and it helps because, like me, people ask me what real estate books I read. I really or truly have not read a real estate. I read biographies maybe on somebody I like, but an actual real estate book, probably 10, 13, 15 years. You know, I mean, real estate doesn't change. Financing changes.
Right.
But that need for real estate never changes. And when I got on Instagram about a year and a half ago, all these abbreviations and everything everybody uses. That's been the hardest thing for me to learn, because you don't have to know all that stuff. It's not that complicated.
Well, Matt,
Everybody wants to make it harder than it is.
back when we were kids, burr, that just meant Mama didn't turn the heater on when we got out of the bathtub. That's what burr meant to me.
Yeah, I've been
Mama.
doing that since the 80s, flipping, buying and refinancing since 81.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, folks, we're
Thanks,
here to try
Lord.
to show you it's not as hard as a lot of people want to make out it is. It's not easy. It takes work, but it's all about finding the deals, get your financing right, learning your markets, learning your property.
Pulling the trigger.
And it's just, all these other things is good. And it sells books and seminars and everything. And good seminars are very important.
Yeah.
But you just don't want to go to one where they just pumping you up. I talk about that. We won't mention who it is. Buddy of mine went to one of his where they got them all fired up, and they walked on coals. I said, I ain't never been so fired up. This old big butt want to walk across hot coals, But it's not about that. That's entertainment. It's about learning. This is a business.
Yep.
You want to make money, lots of money.
Yes. All of us do.
That's
We all
it.
do. Well, buddy, I'm so glad you came through your surgery unscathed. So for the most part.
That's it.
Yeah. And love you, buddy. And
Friend.
you guys have a good week. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will be back next Wednesday at the regular time. And we'll be practicing a little bit more. My phone is now a foot away from the computer. My hands, I'm doing my best not to wave them around. I'm doing the best I can, Rick.
I think you just got to work on your setup over there, something, boy. 'Cause
Really?
I noticed in Austin, not Austin. What was the young man's name? Zach. What was his name?
Oh, Max.
Max.
Yeah.
When he was doing his, it was doing it too. So
Well, he
there's
was-
something to do with the setup.
He was sitting back here like this.
Yeah, but it was still doing it. And I think it's because the angle.
How's this?
I don't know.
Is it okay
We're
now?
gonna work on it, folks. I promise you to get better. And hopefully we had just one thing about this has probably been funnier than anything you see on TV tonight. We showing just about how screwed up we are on this stuff.
Production value is high.
But we're here to tell you about real estate, not all the computers and iPads and all that hooked up at one time, microphones. I got my mic right here.
I got my headphones.
Yeah. Well, anyway, folks, we're going to call it a night, and we do
Yeah,
thank you all. And
You guys have a good night. Be safe this week. Make good decisions and pull the trigger.
that's it. See you next
All right.
week.
Bye-bye.